Before we continue, please take 1 second to subscribe to this channel and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next chapter. These stories take time to create, and your support helps us bring you more true crime stories like this. Now, let's begin. The room was silent, so silent you could hear people breathing. A guard opened the door. Everyone inside stood up. The deadly prisoner walked in wearing an orange jumpsuit. His hands were cuffed, his feet were chained. 2 guards walked beside him, one in front, one behind. The clock on the wall showed 11:57 p.m. In 3 minutes, he would be executed. The prisoner looked around the room. His eyes were calm, his face was relaxed. Then he did something no one expected. He smiled. Not a small smile, not a nervous smile, a wide smile. The kind of smile you give when you see an old friend. The room froze. The victim's family stared at him. Some cried, some shook with anger. One woman screamed his name. The priest whispered a prayer. The doctor checked his tools. The warden asked, "Do you have any final words?" The prisoner lifted his head. He smiled again, and then he said something that made the guards step back in fear, something that made the warden drop his pen, something that made one of the victim's fathers fall to his knees. The deadly prisoner was not afraid of death. He was waiting for it, and he knew something no one else did. But before the switch could be pulled, an officer rushed into the room holding a phone, shouting, "Stop! We need to stop this right now!" Everyone turned. The prisoner's smile grew wider, and that was when the nightmare truly began. Let's go back to where it all started. His name was Daniel Walker. To most people, he looked normal. He had short brown hair, brown eyes, a quiet voice. He worked at a car repair shop in a small town in Ohio called Brookville. Brookville was the kind of town where everyone knew each other. Kids rode bikes in the streets, neighbors waved from their porches, doors were often left unlocked. Daniel lived alone in a small house at the edge of town. He paid his bills on time. He never caused trouble. He waved back when people waved at him. No one knew what he was hiding. No one knew that at night, Daniel Walker became someone else. The first girl went missing on a cold Friday night. Her name was Emily Carter. She was 16 years old. She had long blonde hair and loved singing in her school choir. She told her mom she was going to a friend's house. She never came back. At first, everyone thought she ran away. But then her phone was found near the old train tracks. Then her shoe was found near the river. The town began to panic. Search teams went out day and night. Police brought dogs. Helicopters flew over the woods. But Emily was never found. 2 months later, another girl disappeared. Her name was Sarah Miller. She was 18. She worked at a diner after school. One night, she closed the diner and walked to her car. She never made it home. Her car was found the next morning with the door open. Her purse was still inside. That's when people knew something was wrong. Brookville was no longer safe. Parents stopped letting their kids walk alone. People locked their doors. The town held meetings. The police promised they would find the person responsible. Then a third girl vanished. Her name was Lily Thompson. She was only 14. She was walking her dog near the woods when both of them disappeared. Only the dog came back, covered in mud, whimpering. That was the moment the town broke. People cried in the streets. Mothers hugged their daughters tightly. Fathers stood outside with baseball bats. The mayor asked the state police for help. The FBI came. They said one word that terrified everyone: serial killer. They believed someone in Brookville was hunting young girls, someone who lived among them, someone who smiled and waved just like everyone else. Daniel Walker watched the news every night. He sat on his couch with the lights off. He listened carefully. He smiled. Police set up cameras. They added patrols. They warned everyone to stay inside after dark. But Daniel was careful. He knew how to hide. Then, one night, everything went wrong. A girl named Megan Brooks was walking home from her friend's house. She was 17. She had headphones on and didn't hear the footsteps behind her. A hand grabbed her arm. She screamed. But this time, someone heard. A man walking his dog saw the struggle and ran towards them. The attacker let go and ran into the woods. Megan collapsed on the sidewalk, shaking and crying. She gave police a description. He was tall, she said, brown hair, brown eyes. He smelled like oil, like a car shop. That clue changed everything. Police went to every mechanic shop in Brookville. They asked questions. They checked records. Then they came to Daniel Walker's door. Daniel opened it slowly. "Can I help you, officers?" he asked calmly. They said they were looking for someone. They asked where he was the night before. Daniel said he was home watching TV. They asked if they could come in. Daniel paused. Then he smiled. Of course. Inside, his house was clean. Too clean. The fridge was empty. The walls were bare. No pictures. No family. No memories. A detective noticed scratches on Daniel's arm. "Working on a car," Daniel said. Then one officer opened a door at the end of the hallway. It was locked. "What's in there?" the officer asked. "Storage," Daniel replied. The officer reached for the handle. Daniel's smile disappeared. "Don't open that," he said. The room went quiet. The officer opened the door, and the smell hit them. A smell no one ever forgets. Inside were ropes, duct tape, a shovel, and a bag that held a terrible secret. Daniel tried to run, but he didn't get far. They tackled him in the yard. Neighbors watched in shock as he was put in handcuffs. "Daniel? The quiet guy?" people whispered. "No way." They searched his house, then the woods, then the river. What they found would haunt Brookville forever. The bodies of Emily, Sarah, and Lily were buried in shallow graves, all close to Daniel's house, all wrapped in plastic, all carefully hidden. Daniel Walker was charged with 3 counts of murder. Later, more victims were found in other towns. The number grew. 5, 7, 9. By the time the trial began, they believed Daniel had killed 12 girls. The media called him the Brookville Butcher. The courtroom was packed every day. Families cried. Daniel sat quietly, watching, smiling. When the jury found him guilty, no one was surprised. The judge sentenced him to death. Daniel didn't react. He simply nodded and smiled. Prison was afraid of him. Guards said he never caused trouble. He never fought, never yelled. He followed every rule. But other prisoners stayed away from him. They said his eyes were empty, like a shark. They said he talked in his sleep. They said he laughed alone in his cell. Years passed. Appeals failed. The execution date was set. Daniel Walker was going to die, and he seemed excited. The night before his execution, the prison chaplain asked him if he was scared. Daniel smiled. "I've been waiting for this," he said. On the day of the execution, families of the victims gathered. Some wanted justice. Some wanted closure. Some just wanted to see him gone. No one expected what would happen next. At 11:50 p.m., Daniel was moved to the execution room. At 11:59 p.m., he walked inside. At 58 p.m., he smiled. At 59 p.m., he said something that made everyone freeze. And at that exact moment, an officer ran into the room shouting for the execution to stop. The warden turned pale. The family screamed. The guards reached for their weapons. Daniel Walker leaned back in his chair, still smiling, because the secret he was about to reveal would change everything. And someone else was still out there. Someone who learned from him. Someone who was still killing. And the clock was still ticking. Before we continue, please take 1 second to subscribe to this channel and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next chapter. These stories take time to create, and your support helps us bring you more true crime stories like this. Now, let's continue. The room was shaking. People were shouting. The officer stood in the doorway, breathing hard, holding a phone in his hand. "Stop the execution!" he yelled again. "We just got a call from the FBI. There's been another murder. Same pattern, same method, same signature." The warden turned slowly. "That's not possible," he said. "The killer is right here." All eyes turned to Daniel Walker. Daniel was still smiling. The victims' families gasped. One woman screamed, "He's lying! Kill him now!" But the warden raised his hand. "Untie him. Take him back to his cell." The doctor lowered his tools. The priest stepped away. The guards looked confused, but they followed orders. Daniel stood up calmly. He looked around the room one last time. "You're too late," he said softly. Then he laughed. Not loud, not crazy, just slow and quiet, like he had already won. The prison was locked down. No one moved. Phones rang non-stop. Police cars raced through the night. News vans filled the streets outside. The FBI arrived before sunrise. They sat across from Daniel in the interrogation room. Daniel rested his hands on the table, still smiling. "Another girl is dead," the lead agent said. "She was found in Indiana." Daniel tilted his head. "Poor thing," he said. The agent slammed his hand on the table. "Don't play games. How is someone copying your crimes?" Daniel leaned forward. "Because I taught him." The room went silent. The agents exchanged looks. "What do you mean you taught him?" one asked. Daniel smiled wider. "I wrote him letters," he said, "for years." The FBI froze. "You're lying." Daniel shook his head. "I told him how to hunt, how to clean, how to hide. He listens better than I ever did." The agent stood up. "Who is he?" Daniel leaned back. "I'll tell you, but not for free." The agent clenched his fists. "What do you want?" Daniel looked at the camera in the corner. "I want the world to know my story." The news exploded. Execution stopped at last minute. Deadly prisoner claims there is another killer. Serial killer trained a new monster. People across America watched in shock. Families locked their doors. Parents kept their kids inside. Police searched every town. The FBI opened every prison letter Daniel had ever sent. They found hundreds, some to fans, some to reporters, some to women. But one name kept showing up: Ethan Brooks, a quiet man from Michigan, age 28, no job, no family, no criminal record. He had visited Daniel in prison 6 times, and he had written over 40 letters. Police raided Ethan's apartment. Inside, they found duct tape, rope, plastic sheets, a shovel, and a notebook. Inside the notebook were drawings, girls, graves, and one word written again and again: teacher. They knew they had found their new killer, but Ethan was gone. Daniel watched the news from his cell, still smiling. A guard whispered, "You monster." Daniel looked up. "He's better than me. You should be afraid." That night, a body was found in a cornfield in Iowa. A 15-year-old girl. Same marks, same burial style, same signature. The killer left a message written in blood. For Daniel. America panicked. The FBI released Ethan's photo. The public was told to stay alert. Tip lines rang off the hook, but Ethan stayed hidden, just like Daniel taught him. Back in Brookville, people were afraid again. Old wounds reopened. The town felt cursed. Mothers cried. Fathers watched the roads. Then another girl vanished. Her name was Grace Peterson. She was 13. She was last seen riding her bike near the woods. Police searched all night. At dawn, they found her bike, broken, in the mud, and next to it, a note, "Lesson complete." The town collapsed into fear. The FBI returned. They questioned everyone. They searched every building. Then they found a footprint near the river, a boot print, same size, same pattern as Ethan's. They were close, too close. Daniel was brought back to the interrogation room. "You promised to help us," the agent said. Daniel nodded. "I will. Where is he?" Daniel smiled. "He's coming here." The agent stared. "What?" "He wants to see me. One last time." The room went cold. "You planned this?" Daniel nodded slowly. "Yes." That night, the prison went into full lockdown. Snipers were placed on the towers. Extra guards filled the halls. No visitors were allowed. No one in or out. At midnight, the alarm sounded. A guard was found unconscious near the back gate. His keys were missing. The cameras went dark. A shadow moved across the yard. A figure in black climbed the fence. The prison doors opened. Footsteps echoed down the hallway, and the killer Daniel trained was inside, walking towards his cell, smiling. The prison alarm screamed through the night. Red lights flashed across the yard. Guards ran down the halls with guns drawn. Orders were shouted over radios. "Lock every door. Find the intruder. Protect the death row wing." Inside his cell, Daniel Walker sat on his bed, waiting, smiling. He could hear the footsteps getting closer. He could hear the shouting. He could hear the fear. And then the footsteps stopped. A shadow stood outside his cell. Keys shook. The lock clicked. The door opened. A man stepped inside. Tall, thin, dark hoodie, cold eyes. It was Ethan Brooks. Daniel stood up slowly. "Hello, student," Daniel said. "Hello, teacher." They looked at each other like old friends meeting again. "You did well," Daniel said. Ethan nodded. "I followed every lesson." Daniel laughed quietly. "I knew you would." Outside the cell, a guard lay unconscious on the floor. Ethan held the keys in one hand, a knife in the other. "We don't have much time," Ethan said. "They're searching the whole prison." Daniel nodded. "Then let's make this count." The FBI command room was in chaos. "He's inside the prison. How did he get past security? Where is he now?" A guard shouted, "He's headed for death row." The lead agent grabbed his radio. "All units, move now. Protect the execution wing." Boots pounded down the hall. Guns were raised. But they were too late. Ethan had already reached Daniel. Inside the cell, Daniel reached into his mattress and pulled out a small package. He handed it to Ethan. "What's this?" Ethan asked. "A gift," Daniel said. "My final lesson." Ethan opened it. Inside was a list. Names, addresses, times, girls. Dozens of them, across 5 states. Ethan's hands shook. "So many," he whispered. Daniel smiled proudly. "You'll finish what I started." Suddenly, alarms grew louder. Footsteps rushed closer. "They're coming," Ethan said. Daniel stepped toward the door. "Then go," he said. "You don't need me anymore." Ethan hesitated. "They'll kill you." Daniel shrugged. That was always the plan. Ethan looked into Daniel's eyes. "Thank you," he said. Then he turned and ran. Guards stormed the hallway. "Freeze!" Ethan threw a smoke bomb. The hall filled with thick gray fog. Shots were fired, but Ethan vanished into the smoke. A guard slipped and fell. Another crashed into a wall. Then the fog cleared, and Ethan was gone. Only Daniel remained, smiling. Daniel was dragged back to the interrogation room. The FBI slammed him into a chair. "You let him go!" the agent yelled. Daniel nodded. "Yes. People will die because of you." Daniel leaned forward. They were always going to die. The agent grabbed his collar. "You think this is a game?" Daniel smiled. "It's my legacy." The agent stepped back. "You will be executed at sunrise. No more delays." Daniel closed his eyes. Finally, across the country, Ethan Brooks was on the move. He drove through the night. He followed the list. First stop, Missouri. A girl named Hannah, age 14. Ethan parked down the street from a house. He watched the lights. He waited, just like Daniel taught him. At 2:17 a.m., the back door opened. A shadow stepped inside, and Hannah never screamed. The FBI tracked Ethan's car, but he stayed ahead. He burned phones, changed plates, moved fast. By morning, another girl was missing, then another, then another. The news called him the student killer. Panic spread across America. Schools closed, parents waited at bus stops. Police guarded playgrounds, and still he hunted. Back in prison, Daniel was dressed for execution. Orange jumpsuit, chains on his feet, cuffs on his hands. The same walk, the same room, the same witnesses. The families returned. Some cried, some stared, some prayed. The warden looked tired. "This is it. Any final words?" Daniel looked at the camera. "At least you'll remember me," he said. Then he smiled. That same wide smile. The doctor prepared the injection. The priest whispered. The clock ticked. 11:59 p.m. And then a guard burst into the room. "He escaped again," he shouted. "Ethan Brooks just killed another girl in Illinois." The room erupted. The family screamed. The warden turned pale. Daniel laughed. "See," he said, "the lesson continues." The execution was stopped. Again. Daniel leaned back in his chair, smiling, because as long as Ethan was free, Daniel Walker would never die, and the killing would never stop.
Before we continue, smash the subscribe button, like this video, and turn on notifications right now. These crime stories take a lot of work, and your support helps us bring you the most shocking real-life stories on YouTube. If you want more deadly prisoner stories, interrogation cases, and serial killer documentaries, subscribe now so you never miss an episode. Now, let's finish this story. The prison was silent again. The execution room felt colder than before. Everyone was tired, everyone was angry, and everyone wanted Daniel Walker dead. The warden slammed his fist on the table. "That's it. No more delays, no more phone calls, no more excuses. This execution is happening tonight." The FBI agent nodded. "We have teams hunting Ethan in 3 states. He won't last long." Daniel Walker sat in his chair, smiling. "You still don't understand," he said softly. "You can kill me, but you can't kill what I started." The family stared at him. One father stood up. "You destroyed my daughter's life. You destroyed my family. You deserve to burn." Daniel looked at him calmly. "She was perfect," he said. "You should be proud." The man had to be held back by guards. The room shook with anger, but the warden raised his hand. "Enough. Prepare the execution." Outside the prison, police cars filled the streets. Helicopters circled overhead. Snipers watched every corner. Inside, guards locked every door. There would be no more escapes, no more delays. Daniel was walked down the hallway one final time, chains on his feet, cuffs on his hands, guards on both sides. Cameras followed every step. Millions of people across America watched live. The deadly prisoner who smiled before his final execution. The name was trending everywhere. Daniel sat in the chair. Straps were placed on his arms, on his legs, on his chest. The needle was prepared. The doctor checked his heart. The priest whispered one last prayer. The warden looked at Daniel. Any final words? Daniel lifted his head and smiled. The same smile. The smile that haunted Brookville. The smile that terrified guards. The smile that followed him all the way to death row. "He's watching," Daniel said softly. The room went quiet. "Who?" the warden asked. Daniel's eyes locked on the camera. "My student." The warden nodded to the doctor. "Begin." The needle slid into Daniel's arm. The clear liquid moved through the tube. Daniel took a slow breath. His smile never faded. 10 seconds. 20. 30. His fingers twitched. His chest rose and fell, then slowed. The heart monitor beeped softer, softer, until finally, flat. The doctor checked his pulse. He stepped back. "He's gone." Daniel Walker was dead. The deadly prisoner had finally been executed. The families cried. Some hugged. Some prayed. Some felt nothing at all. It was over, or so they thought. 2 hours later, in a small town in Illinois, a girl named Madison left a friend's house. She never made it home. Her bike was found near the woods. Her phone was found in the dirt, and written on a tree in red paint were 2 words: "Lesson complete." The FBI received the call just before sunrise. The student killer had struck again. The agent slammed his fist into the wall. "He's mocking us." A tech rushed into the room. "We tracked a message sent from a burner phone. It was sent during the execution." They played the audio. A calm voice spoke. "I watched him die. I will not stop. The teacher lives through me." The message ended. The room went silent. Daniel Walker was gone, but his shadow still walked the streets. 3 days later, police finally found Ethan Brooks. He was hiding in an abandoned factory. He had duct tape, rope, a shovel, and Daniel's list. When they surrounded the building, Ethan didn't run. He walked outside with his hands up, smiling, just like his teacher. In the interrogation room, Ethan leaned back in his chair. "Did he smile?" he asked. The agent frowned. "Who?" "Daniel," Ethan said. "When he died." The agent said nothing. Ethan nodded slowly. "Good," he said. "That means he was proud." He was sentenced to life in prison, no parole, no freedom. But as they locked his cell, Ethan whispered something that made the guard freeze. "Every prison needs a teacher." The town of Brookville never felt safe again. Parents never forgot. Doors stayed locked, lights stayed on, and every time someone smiled a little too calmly, people remembered Daniel Walker, the deadly prisoner who smiled before his final execution, a man who died but never truly left. If you enjoyed this story and want more deadly prisoner stories, serial killer cases, and real crime documentaries, make sure you subscribe right now, like this video, and turn on notifications so you never miss the next story.
Before we
Your
dive
support
into this
keeps
dark
these stories
and twisted
coming,
story,
and the next
smash that
is
subscribe
even
button,
darker.
hit the like, and comment below, because some crimes are too chilling to watch alone. You're about to step into a nightmare that no parent should ever face. It was a cold December morning in McKinney, Texas, when the ambulance lights flickered against the dull gray of early dawn. The city, usually quiet at this hour, was about to witness something it would never forget. At Medical City, McKinney, doctors and paramedics scrambled around a small body lying on a stretcher. 3-year-old Dawson Zamora had been rushed in unresponsive, his tiny frame bruised and broken, far too much for any child so young. Detectives arrived, their eyes scanning the room, stomachs twisting as they noted the signs of trauma, bruises in every stage of healing, internal bleeding, and injuries inconsistent with any accident. A frantic nurse whispered to the lead investigator, This isn't normal. Whoever did this, they've done it before." And the truth, as the officers would soon discover, was far darker than anyone imagined. Weeks before Dawson's life had been taken, Chelsea Berg, a woman in her early 30s, presented herself to the world as a devoted mother. Friends described her as caring, cheerful, someone who would do anything for her son. But behind closed doors, the truth was far more sinister. Christopher Alexander, a man who had entered their lives with charm and confidence, was now at the center of a child abuse investigation. His presence was toxic. The very text suggested he was reckless, aggressive, and someone Chelsea herself feared. Detectives combed through the small apartment, noting signs of hurried cleaning, items removed or hidden, as if someone had tried desperately to erase the evidence of months of torment. A child's toy, a half-eaten sandwich, a crumpled drawing, tiny snapshots of normalcy shattered by the violence lurking in the shadows. Then came the revelation that would turn the investigation upside down. In the back of a locked cabinet, police found photographs and messages that suggested the abuse had been ongoing for at least 30 days. Each image, each note, each bruise told a story of horror, a story that had been right in front of neighbors, friends, and family, but had gone unnoticed until now. And just when it seemed the detectives had seen everything, the lead officer found something that made his heart stop. Tucked away under the floorboards, covered in dust and nearly invisible, was a small blood-stained object, a piece of evidence that could not only change the direction of the case, but also reveal a shocking secret about who had been watching Dawson suffer. But when they opened the locked basement door, what they found changed everything. The locked basement door creaked open, revealing a dim, cold space that smelled faintly of mildew and old wood. Dust floated in the air, disturbed only by the investigators' footsteps. And there, in a shadowed corner, were more clues, photographs, scribbled notes, and objects that painted a horrifying picture of Dawson's final weeks. Each item whispered a story of fear, manipulation, and betrayal. The room, once ordinary, now felt like a shrine to cruelty. Detectives pieced together the timeline. Bruises in September, cuts and scrapes in October, each one ignored, concealed, or blamed on clumsy accidents. And the texts between Chelsea and Christopher became increasingly ominous. In one message, Chelsea admitted she was scared, but claimed she had no choice but to leave Dawson in Christopher's care. "I can't leave him alone, but I'm terrified of what might happen if he's upset." Christopher's replies were cold, calculated, even cruel. He minimized the injuries, suggesting they were accidental, then warned Chelsea to stay quiet. The detectives realized that the boy's suffering wasn't the result of a single moment of rage. It was orchestrated, systematic, and terrifyingly deliberate. Neighbors came forward, their stories adding layers to the dark narrative. Some recalled hearing loud thuds, screams muffled through walls, and Chelsea pleading with Christopher to calm down. Others mentioned seeing the boy limping or sporting new bruises, always with excuses that never quite made sense. The community, now stunned, wondered how they had missed the signs. Meanwhile, medical examiners provided chilling details. Dawson's injuries were not only physical, but also psychological. Evidence suggested repeated trauma that a child so young could hardly endure without long-term damage. The abuse wasn't just a momentary lapse, it was a series of calculated actions that escalated in severity. As investigators dug deeper, another shocking detail emerged. Chelsea's own family had noticed changes in her behavior, her sudden secrecy, frequent calls from Christopher, and avoidance of friends. Some texts revealed she had tried to reach out for help, but fear and manipulation had silenced her. The very person she had warned was dangerous had become the invisible puppet master controlling both her actions and the fate of her son.
Then came the twist no one expected. Christopher Alexander had a history that wasn't on any public record. Prior police reports indicated minor domestic disturbances and restraining orders, all conveniently undiscovered or ignored by those around him. The authorities realized they were dealing with someone who thrived on control and intimidation. His ability to manipulate Chelsea and mask his violent tendencies turned a domestic dispute into a deadly trap. As the investigation intensified, detectives returned to the texts, now piecing together the moments leading directly to Dawson's death. And then, in one final horrifying discovery, they found a message Chelsea had sent to a friend just days before the boy was hospitalized. "I don't know if he'll make it. I'm so scared. I can't protect him." The room fell silent as the lead detective read the words aloud. The horror was undeniable, but the story was far from over. Someone had watched a child suffer, warned repeatedly, and still no one acted in time. And then the call came. A name surfaced in connection to the evidence in the basement, someone no one suspected. A connection that changed the entire investigation and pointed to a betrayal so shocking it would make even hardened detectives recoil. What they were about to uncover next would unravel everything they thought they knew about Dawson's final days. The investigation had reached a fever pitch. Detectives now had Chelsea Berg, Christopher Alexander, and a tangled web of evidence that painted a grim portrait of cruelty, betrayal, and calculated deception. Every text, every photograph, every whisper from neighbors led to one inescapable truth. Dawson Zamora's death was not an accident. It was murder. For weeks, prosecutors prepared the case, combing through digital footprints, medical records, and witness statements. The texts Chelsea had sent, warnings she had initially hoped would protect her son, became some of the most damning evidence against both her and Christopher. Messages that revealed fear, dread, and desperation now spoke volumes about motive and awareness. She had known he was dangerous, she had seen the signs, yet somehow she had been complicit. Court documents revealed even more harrowing details. Christopher had escalated his abuse in the final weeks, exploiting Chelsea's fear and her reluctance to lose him. He threatened exposure, isolation, and shame if she spoke to authorities. Every manipulation, every lie, every bruise added up. And on that fateful December morning, the cumulative effect of days, weeks, and months of abuse finally claimed Dawson's life. When police arrested Chelsea and Christopher, the air in McKinney seemed to shift. Neighbors whispered in disbelief. Friends struggled to reconcile the warm mother they knew with the woman now accused of complicity in her child's murder. And Christopher, calm, collected, unrepentant, offered no explanation, no plea of remorse. His control, once invisible, had been exposed in the most public and damning way possible. The courtroom became a stage for a tragedy no one could ignore. Prosecutors laid out the timeline: bruises, texts, photographs, missed opportunities, ignored cries for help. They revealed the messages Chelsea had sent warning Christopher was dangerous, a line repeated so many times it became a chilling mantra. Defense attorneys tried to paint a picture of fear and manipulation, of a mother trapped under the thumb of a controlling man. But the evidence was unrelenting, the story clear.
And then came the twist that left everyone in the courtroom reeling. Further investigation revealed that Christopher had been secretly recording conversations, documenting Chelsea's fear, and even manipulating her family. He had been preparing a twisted defense, a meticulous plan to shift blame, even as Dawson's life hung in the balance. The betrayal was total. He had not only harmed the child, but had systematically undermined every protective measure Chelsea tried to enact. In the end, both Chelsea Berg and Christopher Alexander were charged with capital murder. The case shook McKinney and echoed across Texas, serving as a grim reminder that danger can hide behind familiar faces, that warnings ignored can have tragic consequences, and sometimes the ones you trust most can betray you in ways you can never imagine. If you think this story was intense, you're not ready for the next one. Hit subscribe so you don't miss it.